Welcome back everybody to another video. In this video I'm working on this 97 Saturn, and it's going to be the same pretty much for all the models because they copy pasted suspension, but we're doing lower front and lower rear control arms. I'll take you through step by step. Hit like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Help me out with this algorithm and let's get into it. Use a 19mm, remove the front wheels. Driver's side, lower control arm SK5311. Passenger side, front control arm SRK5313. We need to get this cotter pin out, so bend it, cut it, and then pull it out on the side that has the loop right there. To remove the bolt that is on the subframe, it's a 15mm on one side and an 18mm on the other side. The nut that holds the sway bar into the control arm is a 24mm. Go ahead and take that all the way off. There's 4 15mm bolts to remove the sway bar, and you got 2 on this one, 2 on this one. Next we need to pop the ball joint loose before we do anything with this one over here. Use an 18mm open-ended wrench. Get this as high as you can. Now we're going to stick a pry bar in here, pry against this up, and pry this control arm down, and then smack this with a hammer. It should pop loose. We have the nut off here, we have the nut off there. Now we need to loosen this one so that the control arm will move freely, so we could pop it out. So you're going to use a 15mm ratchety wrench or a socket, but ratchety wrench is going to work better. Hold that side with an 18 and take this bolt all the way out. Use a pry bar, pry the sway bar out of the control arm. Once you push the sway bar out, just let it swing down like that. Now we're just going to get this thing out of here. We're going to clean this whole area up, and then we're going to work on putting the new one back. On the one side, you're going to slide in the control arm, put the bolt through, just put it finger tight. You're going to put the ball joint through, you're going to tighten that down pretty tight, and put the cotter pin through it. Now, you're going to put the sway bar through the first one. Put the washer and the nut hand tight, don't go crazy, you want it to flex. Then the hard part is you put it through the second arm first, okay? You put it through the other side arm, and then you're pushing up here and wiggling forward in order to then push the control arm into this box here, right, and line it up so you can get this bolt in. Get this bolt started. Once this bolt's started, then we can play around with getting the ball joint through the spindle. Leave the nut on the top here so it doesn't get damaged by knocking into stuff. So as I was messing with it, I had to push this control arm to the front side and get everything lined up. It was just a big pain in the butt, but you can do it. So you put one side control arm, sway bar, then you push it in here, get this bolt through, and then I'm going to get this a little bit more snug. I still want it to move freely. And then at this point now, I'm going to take the nut off here, slide the ball joint through this hole, put the nut on, and tighten it down. At this point you should have both control arms started here with the bolt and nut hand tight. You should have both control arms with the sway bar hand tight, and then you should have both control arms with the ball joint tight and the cotter pin installed. Now we're gonna take the sway bar, put this thing back up here, and put the shackles back. and mount the sway bar back to the subframe for good. Next, we're going to take a 24 mil and tighten both of the sway bar bolts on this side and this side all the way down. Pretty much the last step of this now is to jack up the control arm, and that gets this bushing in the place where it would sit normally, just driving around normal, so you don't bind up the bushing. And then now we're just going to tighten this all the way down, torque it nice and tight. Don't ask me for the torque spec, just make it tight, or you can Google it, it's up to you. Use a 19 millimeter and take off the back wheels. Part number for the rear lower control arm. This is a Delphi brand TC7934. It's the same on both sides. This is the arm we're replacing here. There's 2 bolts going into the body. Comes down. Double bushing in the spindle area. And then this is a 21 millimeter. So go ahead and take this one all the way off. The washer comes off, and then do the same thing on the other side of the vehicle. At this point it will look like this. Now you're going to take an 18 millimeter and take out these 2 bolts. Take them out all the way. The brake line has a little bracket that this slips into. Make sure to pull that out. And then you can chuck this into garbage. Into garbage. And when you get the new piece slid in, you're going to get these bolts started about 2 or 3 threads. Then you're going to stop. Now, because we want this to be centered in here. Let me turn on some extra light. You want this to be centered in there. So we're going to take now the new bushing, the washer. We put tapered into the bushing to the inside. The washer cups away from the bushing. Then we get the new nut. Put this on here. And you're going to want to hold this in the center and tighten this all the way down. So you're just going to give it a little pressure to go so it's centered in this entire opening. That's all tight and smushed. Now we come over here with the 18 and we tighten these down. Try not to eat any dirt at the same time. We just do the same exact thing to the other side, and the back lower control arms are done. Ooh, look how pretty it is. Hopefully I saved you some money. Subscribe. Put your wheels back on, your little hubcaps on front and back, and you're all done.